There is no way this team finishes where Tim has them.
Answer the call when the hotline rings. We talk it all from Sunday's bright to March till ball. We rise, we never log off. Answer the call. Razorbacks fight, we stand up tall. If you bleed that red, you know this call. Answer the call.
Woo! Welcome in, guys, to this wonderful Tuesday. How are you, Will?
I am doing fantastic. Happy to be on the show. Happy to be talking through our ACC predictions. There's 17 teams in the ACC right now, so that's a lot. There's a lot going on in college football, and so happy to do a little breakdown of the Atlantic Coast Conference today. Going to be a fun one today, Tim.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a great show. We are live on Patreon for the first time, and YouTube. You guys will see it later, but you will have to join our exclusive Patreon. We have ACC breakdown, like Will said. We have Will's wild card where he throws something up and I have no clue what's coming. We have our Bolts and Boys, Chargers and Cowboys segment. And then to wrap it all up, we have everyone's favorite segment, Calls Hot Seat. So it should be a very good one. And before we get started, huge announcement, Call Nation, our Patreon is finally live. We have had several people ask us how they can support the show even more. We have 3 amazing tiers that you can choose from. The link will be in the description, and we will see you over there for exclusive content and more. We can't thank you enough for all the support. And we're going to get started with the ACC because that is the highlight of the day, is the ACC. And so I want to know, is the ACC one of the most intriguing conferences in college football this season? We are about to break down our top 5 ACC teams, as well as give a dark horse who could play spoiler this season. All Nation, get active in the chat and let us know who your top 5 ACC teams will be. Will, are you ready?
I'm ready to go, man. Let's do it.
Let's do this. I'm ready. I'm pumped. And so anybody that hasn't been following, we have done NFL division breakdowns. We have also had the Big 12, the Big 10. We're doing the ACC. And on Friday, we'll do the SEC. And the way that this has always worked is we start at number 5 and work our way to number 1, and then we'll reveal our dark horse after that. Will, get us started with your number 5 ACC team.
Coming in on the top 5 slot here for the ACC, I've got a team that really hasn't been near the top here in a long time. That's the Virginia Tech Hokies. You may be wondering, why in the world are we going with Virginia Tech? Well, this is a result of the James Franklin effect coming into play. Penn State lets the fella go, and instead of a team like the University of Arkansas cashing in on him, he goes to Virginia Tech. So I'm not bitter at all. But I think this is the most interesting team in my top 5 because basically hit the reset button on everything over at Virginia Tech. James Franklin is your head coach now. The Hokies went 3-9 a year ago, and he's brought a significant amount of a Penn State flair, a little Penn State connected talent with him over to Blacksburg. And so this should be really interesting to watch. The big question here is quarterback. We have a Penn State transfer that followed Franklin over. Ethan Grunkmeyer, he's on the roster, should be right in the middle of the competition with everything going on over there. You have a North Carolina transfer in Bryce Baker, and Keldon Ryan, and then Troy Hunn is there as well in that quarterback room. So a lot of competition over there for that quarterback slot for them. There's a lot of familiar pieces around him. He brought a couple of receivers, linebackers, defensive linemen. There's a lot of former Penn State guys that he brought along with him, and now they're listed on the roster there at Virginia Tech. That makes this roster very fascinating to me. This isn't James Franklin inheriting a 3-9 roster and hoping to development. He's wanting to reshape a lot of things that are happening over in Blacksburg. Why do I like them there at number 5? I think Virginia Tech hasn't consistently felt like a legitimate national program in quite a while, really since Frank Beamer. And so it's been a long time for Virginia Tech, long time coming for those guys. So James Franklin immediately gives them some credibility, recruiting. the juice, if you will, and has a proven blueprint for building a physical football team. I can even think about James Franklin back in his Vanderbilt days. Those teams weren't just powerhouses or anything, but you knew what you were getting. It was going to be a fight every time anybody in the SEC went and played Vandy. So this is I don't think that this team is necessarily ready to win the ACC, but I wouldn't want them on my schedule, especially in these first couple of years. Seeing what James Franklin can do. I think that if we're looking at where I have this team finishing record-wise, I think somewhere in the probably 8 wins, maybe 7 or 8 wins there. I think that their ceiling is probably 9-3 here.
Ooh.
Things go pretty well. No matter what, they're making a bowl game. I got them at 6 wins in the floor. This is a team that is it's gonna go as the quarterback goes. Can your limited success from Penn State translate over to Virginia Tech? And I think the biggest concern in all of this is how quickly an almost completely reworked roster comes together. That's college football. That's where we are. That's college football, especially in the Power Four. But I think that Virginia Tech knocks off at least one ranked ACC opponent. And who knows, maybe by the end of the year, we see them in the top 25 ranking and some really good momentum for Virginia Tech. I think they made an excellent move by getting James Franklin over there in Blacksburg.
Like, I'm not mad at the pick. I definitely can see why they made your top 5. I'm not going to lie. I have a goal in life, and that is to go watch a home game in Virginia at Virginia Tech. Because I think just that atmosphere as Enter Sandman plays and the whole crowd gets to it would be absolutely.
It gets wild. It looks like it gets really wild over there. So,
well, right before the show, I was getting a little nervous because I thought we were going to have a lot of the same list here. And I got to say right off the bat, we're not going to have the same list. It looks like we did go 2 different directions here, and I'm excited for that. My number 5 is Georgia Tech. I know that they lost Haynes King to the NFL, but I think this team could just come in and still be productive. I believe in Brent Key, but I'm not ignoring the turnover. They've lost some people, so I'm not ignoring that. But I do believe in Brent Key. Haynes King is gone. Most of the offensive production through him is gone. 5 of the top 6 DBs are gone, and both coordinators are gone. So I think Key keeps them good. But I don't know if they're going to be beyond 5. I'm not totally sold on them. Obviously, their strength is explosive running back Justice Haynes, but the question is, can they replace Haynes King, like I just said? And so for me, I have them coming in at number 5. They were really just was on a roll last season with Haynes King. He was a great dual threat quarterback, ran a lot of option and zone reads and the RPOs, and he did a really good job. He is going to be replaced by Mendoza. No, not that Mendoza, but Fernando's little brother, Alberto Mendoza. Unproven, but this is really intriguing because I think that even like in the limited role that he had in Indiana last season behind his brother Fernando, I thought that Alberto did really good and protected the ball and moved the chains and did what he needed to do. So I really like this team. They have some strong returners on the offense and defensive side. Their coach is good. He's really transformed Georgia Tech into what they are today. So that is why I have them at 5. As far as floor ceiling, their floor, like you at Virginia Tech, it's going to be 6 wins. They're going to make a bowl game. I just don't see it in this weird thing now where they're even talking about 5 and 7 teams being bowl eligible, and I'm not for that, but I do think that they make it currently at 6 and 6 at least. Their floor probably sitting around 9 or 10 wins. I would probably I'll go ahead and put them at 9 wins, but this is a really tough ACC conference, and so they're going to be sitting at 5 with 9 wins. Obviously, based off of this list, I'm sure there will be a few teams that have the same record, but they're going to win the head-to-head, so they're going to make it slightly above. But this is my top 5. I'm kicking off with Georgia Tech.
Nice. Okay. Not a bad prediction, I don't think. I don't have them in my top 5, but they're one of those sleeping giants that could come through depending on the situation. At number 4 for me, I've got the Louisville Cardinals coming in at number 4. 4th season for head coach Jeff Brom. At this point, I trust Jeff Brom really with any quarterback. Louisville enters another season with another new QB. But this one's a little bit intriguing for me. This is an Ohio State transfer. This is Lincoln Kienholz, officially listed at 6'2", 215. He's a junior, dual threat element. to Brom's offense, which I think is going to be a good thing for Louisville. You look at a few names outside of Kienholz. You have Isaac Brown, who's a junior. They have Trey Richardson out at wide receiver. He's a transfer from Vandy. Lawayne McCoy out of Florida State. And Kewan Brown. Defensively, you add some interesting more transfer pieces in. It's college football we're talking about. Tyler Thompson from North Carolina, Cohen Etchinger from Iowa, Caleb Beasley from Tennessee, DJ Waller Jr. from Kentucky. So they've bought into the portal era for sure. Brom remains the head coach with his brother Brian Brom, who's over at the offensive coordinator spot. Steve Ellis, Mark Ivy are the co-defensive coordinators on this squad. So why number 4? Why in this matter? So Louisville feels like one of those teams that's going to make everybody a little uncomfortable. You get Kienholz, Isaac Brown, Jeff Brom. That's a good combo that I like a lot coming just in the top half of this ACC. Kienholz doesn't have just a huge resume other than just being at Ohio State and the pedigree that comes with that. There's not a lot of college production, but I think that's where Brom comes in. I think that if you can get a guy who's coachable, who can do really well in certain style of offense, being a dual threat guy, I think Brom is the guy to move that piece forward because he's made a career out of maximizing quarterbacks. And so the question is whether Louisville has enough top-end talent to maybe beat like a Clemson or Miami, SMU, the Florida States of this league. Do they have that top-end talent to do it? I've got them finishing at 9-3. Floor is 7-5. 7-5 in this league is not too shabby. It's nothing crazy here, but things go well here. I think they win double-digit games, go 10-2. So you've got to have your quarterback and your head coach and your OC on the same page here. I think that's the X factor to look at for this team. Probably the biggest concern is that lack of starting experience for Kienholz. I think that's going to be one of the things that maybe holds this team back because that quarterback room, while it's being coached by a pretty good quarterbacks coach, I don't really know how deep it is. So don't really know what's behind Kienholz here. I think that Isaac Brown being in that backfield is going to be a good thing for them. I think that he finishes as one of the ACC's top 2 running backs. I think he's going to be in that top, for sure, in the top 2 or 3 guys in the league. And then we'll look and see. But I think when you're in this position around that top 4, I think in November you can still be in the race as far as being in the ACC contender spot as far as the championship goes. And so this Louisville team could be really scary. And so it's going to be fun to watch. Big fan of Jeff Brom. I think that he can bring out the best in a lot of guys. And so I still have them at that 4 spot.
Oh, okay. I like it, man. I like it. And you putting them at 4 tells me everything I need to know about this list. I am getting a little nervous that possibly our top 3 are going to be the same. So I'm a little nervous on that. But hey, number 4 for me is the Cinderella of the ACC last year, and that is Virginia. They feel like they just came out of nowhere and was the Cinderella of the ACC last year. Everybody's treating Virginia's 11-win season like it was a fluke. Well, I'm not. It didn't happen by accident. It's like Indiana winning the national championship. It didn't just happen by accident. It happened for a reason. Virginia went from 91st to 31st in SP+, and their defense went from 86 to 19th. Elliott proved his roster-building formula, Tony Elliott, that is. If the portal hits again, why can't Virginia do it again? And so they're coming in at number 4. I think Tony Elliott has come in and really revamped this team and brought it from nowhere. Virginia was like the sleeper. And I don't mean like under the radar, like they were just asleep the whole time and everybody forgot about them. Winning the ACC championship, 11-win season last year, that's something to be proud of and to build momentum on. My question is, they don't have a lot of returning production. In fact, only 16 out of the 40 who played 20-plus snaps returned. So the transfer portal is definitely going to be crucial. And I think they have enough skill talent that they can compete. I think that they got Bo Pribula, who took over. He played at Missouri. He played at Penn State. Now he's in Virginia after transferring from Missouri. He has athletic upside, but is less proven than last year's starter, Chandler Morris. So the quarterback position could drop off just a hair. Maybe that's why Virginia is low on my rankings. They do have some good return players, and I want to put them up there. I want to put them at 1 or 2 or 3, but couldn't. And I think Probably 7 wins is a safe floor for them. I know that's a 4-win drop off from last season. Obviously, their ceiling, I'll give them 10 wins. I don't think they're as good as they were last season. And I'm not sold on Bo being the quarterback for Virginia. He hasn't really proven himself. And so I think they're going to be another one of these like 9-win teams. Maybe even they lose a game that they shouldn't and they fall to 8-4. But currently I see them at like 9 wins. And I don't know, man. It's tricky because here we have two different routes on 4 and 5, but I know 1 through 3 is going to get real interesting.
We'll get to see the combination.
Huh?
We'll get to see maybe the little bit of a combination because I think the top 3 is pretty well notated out. I think that those top 3 are pretty interchangeable, really, if you just want to do the whole breakdown of 3 of them. But so here's my team at number 3, and it's really not a big shock that they're in the top 3 because of the history that they have in the conference, but I'm going to go with the 18th full season for Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers here at number 3. Because, and a weird one, because stuck in the middle of whether is 3 disrespectful to Clemson or have they earned this being in the position they're in. Dabo has been pretty vocal that he's not a transfer portal guy, which I think is just weird at this point because it's like, how are you going to get ahead? But like they've stayed. They haven't just had disaster seasons since the portal era with the NIL and everything, but it's been weird. But the program in its history has been really good. There's a lot of more uncertainty entering 2026 and either of the ones in my top 2. And it really starts at the quarterback position. Cade Klubnik's not here anymore. You have senior Christopher Vizina, who's a veteran leader in the quarterback room over there. But Dabo, being vocal as he is, has pushed back on Vizina being overlooked simply because he stayed at Clemson. He didn't transfer out. There's a lot of guys in that quarterback room. And so you're not just totally dependent on one guy, but I've heard the old adage that is, if you have 2 quarterbacks, then you have no quarterback because you got to have your clear-cut guy, I think, if you're going to be super successful in the league. But the good news for Clemson is that there's still plenty of talent around whoever gets that job at starting quarterback. Bryant Wesco Jr. is back at receiver along with TJ Moore, Tyler Brown, and others defensively. Clemson's roster has Will Pelt at the edge with London Merritt, corner at Washington, and there's other experienced pieces on this Clemson roster. So it's not a talentless Clemson team, and really far from it. But why 3? I think it's because I need to see the quarterback, whoever it is, give Clemson some high-level quarterback play. I think that Clemson could make this prediction look really stupid one way or the other. There's really no telling. That's why they're in the middle of the pack here. But I think the defense should keep them in games. I think that's what Clemson has been riding on for a long time is that defense playing really well. I think Wesco gives the offense a legitimate star, and I think Dabo has won too much for Clemson just to be dismissed. I think compared with the other ones in my top 2, Clemson enters the season with a much bigger question at the most important position that we talk about all the time. I think if things go really well, I think this team could win 11 games. I really do. I think there's a lot of talent centered around this, but the ceiling and the floor for these ACC teams is the margin is huge, but it's just because there's a lot of unknown that goes into a lot of this. I think the floor, I have them at 7 and 5 just because it depends on who wins that quarterback job and how the season progresses. That's with every team, but I think they could either go 11 and 1 or 7 and 5. Let's split the difference and put them at 8 or 9 wins on the year and just have a tiebreaker with whoever else is in that camp. But the biggest concern is definitely the quarterback consistency. Again, like I mentioned, the defense. I think they finish among the ACC's best when it comes to scoring defense and total defense. But I think they may run into what has happened in the past for teams like Arkansas, where you have these really close losses, and those close losses can demoralize a team because it's almost worse than getting blown out all the time, because when you're right there, like there's really nothing more demoralizing than that.
When I've said it many times, whether it's in fantasy football, whether it was playing football in high school, whatever the case is, I would rather get blown out. Like in baseball, I'd rather just rule us. I don't care. In football, beat us by 4 touchdowns. I don't care. But if I lose by, like in baseball, say I lose by a run, or in football, if I lose by 2 points or 3 points or less, it's like it was right there. Like one play could have changed the outcome of the game, and for that, it's demoralizing for me. And I would rather get blown out than ever lose a close game. So,
all right, who you got at 3?
All right, man. So my number 3 is probably one of the safest options I could put here at the number 3 position, and that is none other than SMU. It's one of the safest teams in my top 5. Not quite as much talent as a couple of these other teams, but I trust Jennings and Lashley, but I'm not convinced that the new skill players and defensive staff will immediately replace what SMU has lost. And I did the same ranking system for the ACC as I did for the Big 12. And the only difference is instead of giving them stars, rated them 1 through 10. Now, Rhett Lashley, the coach of SMU, has quickly turned SMU into one of the ACC's most dangerous programs. I gave him a 9 out of 10, so I'm really high on him. They got the return production. I scored that at 8 out of 10. Defense, 8 out of 10. Offense, 9 out of 10. And the quarterback is a 9 out of 10 as well. Kevin Jennings is entering his 3rd season as SMU's quarterback. He has to be one of the safest QB options in the ACC. And so you add all that up, and it's like a 43 out of 50. So that's pretty solid. Now, I do want to point out that just because I have the point system doesn't necessarily mean that that's how I determine the order. I just wanted to get a feel for where to start putting these players and these teams. And they've got some great return production. PJ Williams, Yamir Knight, Derek McFall, Jalen Cooper. Additions on the offense, they got Kendrick Raphael, Jalen Hale, Yannick Smith, Randy Pittman Jr. So they do have some strengths. Obviously, Jennings and the offensive line. Question: can the new skilled players replace the lost production? On defense, they got some pretty good return players and additions. My question is, can a new defensive staff replace 7 defensive starters? So that is a major what if going into this season in the ACC, where a lot of these teams' offense can be electric. You have Miami, you have Clemson, you have Virginia Tech, who should be better. So a lot of offensive firepower from the ACC. So they fall at number 3 for me. And I just, like you, 7 wins has to be a floor. Like if you're my number 3 team, you better be at 7 or 8 wins as a floor, if I'm being honest, because I'm expecting you to be good. I'm expecting you to be right there as possibly in the ACC title. And so I'm going to say 7.5, 8 games. I know we don't do halves usually, but so 7, 8 games, I think, is a great floor. Now ceiling, oh gosh, we're talking maybe 11-1. I don't think they quite hit 11. I'm going to say somewhere between 9 and 10. I'm going to split that difference. I think maybe over the other 2, they might beat one, like they beat them out, and so they win like the strength of schedule. They're my number 3. I think they could challenge my top 2 if they have the production that Kevin Jennings we're used to seeing from Kevin Jennings. He's a great quarterback, dual threat. You better contain him, because if not, he can get outside and he's gone. So I really like SMU here in the ACC. I think that's a good fit for them, and they're my number 3 heading into the 2026 season. And can't wait, because we will wrap up our college breakdowns this Friday, and will we have college football next Saturday, man?
Come on, man. Come on.
All right, we're in the top 2. Obviously,
yes.
I feel like I know you're number 2.
Do I really do?
It's the team I just mentioned. It's SMU. Come on now.
It's SMU. And a lot of it has to do with guys that you just mentioned. But I want to point out Kevin Jennings. Reason that Rhett Lashley has success this year is because he has a guy who came back in Kevin Jennings. Comes back as a redshirt senior after throwing that's crazy 3,641 yards and 26 touchdowns last year. Ooh. So the dude balled out. So for some reason came back. I guess the NIL situation in Dallas is pretty nice. Finished 3rd in the ACC in passing yards. That's a huge advantage for a team like SMU. Jennings gives Rhett Lashley exactly what you want in modern college football. You want an experienced quarterback who already knows your system. I mean, that's a scary thing to look at if you're a defense looking at Rhett Lashley's offense. You mentioned the players on this offense, they hit the portal hard. Raphael comes from NC State. Jalen Hill comes in from Alabama. Yannick Smith from ECU. Randy Pittman Jr., who's at Florida State and then UCF. The defensive side, Marcellus Barnes Jr. comes in from Syracuse. Davon Thomas comes from Texas A&M at corner, and then your linebacker Jamal Anderson is a transfer from Clemson. So you've put together a really good offense, and then you match it with a really good staff around that. You look at Rob Likens and Aaron Justice, the co-offensive coordinators, and then former Miami quarterback Derek King is now the co-offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. And so you've got some good pieces there. I think the quarterback continuity gives this team that edge at number 2. And in the era of college football, like we just mentioned, it's good to have the experienced veteran quarterback on your side. And so already has put in a lot of things at a high level, has been incredibly valuable for this school already. There may be some teams that are more talented in the overall roster. I think Clemson may recruit a little bit better at certain times, but SMU has Jennings, Lashley, and continuity, and that's enough for me to put them up there at number 2. I think that this race, where I'm going with everything, but I think this race between SMU and Miami is going to be a good one to watch throughout the year. I think that we could see these two teams meet up together toward the end of the year. Let me just look real quick where these guys meet if they meet on the schedule this year, because that's one that I would really love to watch. Let me just look up SMU's schedule. I think that's going to be easier to look up.
That if they play each other, that will be a great matchup for sure, because two powerhouse offenses. I don't see it.
No, they don't play each other this year. They don't play each other.
The only time that they would play each other would be the national championship game.
Or does the ACC play in the championship game? Or did they just crown one?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean the national championship. I meant the ACC championship.
Which, listen, could be crazy, but I think that the top 2 teams are interchangeable here, because if the defense for SMU really tightens up and it turns out to be pretty good, we could look at this SMU team being your ACC champion. Could finish up the year at 12-0. I think the schedule is not just a super difficult one when you look at it on its face. You don't have just a ton of at Notre Dame. Late November is going to be a big one. That game in South Bend, night game in South Bend, will be crazy, I think, to take in. They open up the year on Monday night at Florida State and Tallahassee. That'll be a fun one, I think, to see where this team's at. So
week 0 game, or
that's week 0. Oh. But that's a quick turnaround though. They play Florida State on a Monday and then they play UC Davis the following Saturday.
That's nobody,
they got 5 days. They got 5 days in between.
If they can't beat that team on 5 days rest, then they don't need to be your number 2 team. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
You're right. Fine, you're right.
All right, my number 2.
So go ahead. No, I was gonna say I think they could finish undefeated, but I have them at 10 or 11 wins. I think that's where I've got them finishing up on the year.
6-7.
Gross. Get out of here.
Show's over. My number 2. Show's over. Well, I'm in charge, buddy. So I say when it's over.
Okay.
No, in all seriousness, my number 2 is a team that you just mentioned as your number 3, and that is the Clemson Tigers. And I got one thing to say about that, and that is Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney is the whole reason I have him at number 2. Everybody sees 7-6 and thinks Clemson is falling off. I see a team with young talent ready to explode, elite defensive talent with Dabo Swinney. I'm betting on the bounce back. If Messina is good, I think Clemson can beat anybody in this comp. Absolutely. They do have a tough one, though. I'm not going to lie. I just looked at their schedule, and it's gross. It's probably one of the grossest ones in all of the ACC. But they have the return production is significantly not good. And Swinney doesn't like to use the portal. Well, I hope he learned from last year, because he definitely needs to add some players. Lost Kate Klubnik in the draft, Blake Miller in the draft, several other starters on the offensive side. On defense, they lost. Not seeing any real talent that they lost. They lost Peter Woods, defensive lineman Peter Woods. I about him. The question is, can the new pieces replace the veteran production lost up front on the defensive side? On the offensive side, can they replace 7 offensive starters? They have Christopher Vicinia takes over for Cade Klubnik. He has talent, but very limited starting experience. Can he become the quarterback Clemson needs. And the whole reason I have Clemson at number 2 is the coaching experience. Obviously, for Sweeney gets a 9 out of 10. He has the biggest coaching advantage in the ACC, I feel like. So I scored him and I put him at number 2, but I just looked at their schedule. Maybe I should have done this beforehand. They have at LSU week 1. They play Miami in week 5, Virginia Tech in week 8. They play at Florida State in week 9. And then, of course, they have that rival game, Clemson, South Carolina, to close it out in week 13. That's gross. I'm not going to lie. Gross schedule. I do believe in the bounce back. I really do. Their floor better be 8-9 wins if I have them at number 2. I probably see about 10-11 wins because they have a tough schedule. We're not sure on some pieces. Guys, I could easily look silly putting them at number 2 by the end of the season. We could be talking in like November and going back and be like, remember when you put Clemson at number 2? And I'm like, dude. But if they can win those tough games, obviously no one's banking on that they win at LSU. So
LSU's dealing with a whole new roster too.
They have a new coach and everything else, but that's a tough schedule to overcome. And they're my number 2. All right, Will. We already know where this is going.
No, we do. And
I don't think that we both need to break this down. So real quick, why is Miami your number 1?
I think that the roster talent is there. You've got your proven playmakers and your upside at quarterback. I know you don't have your Carson Beck still there making a lot of noise, but there's another major transfer, and that's Darian Mensah is now the Miami quarterback, formerly of Tulane and Duke. He's officially the starter on the roster. A lot of expectation here. You've got him offensively, but you also have Mark Fletcher Jr., you got Jordan Lyle, Gerard Pringle, Malachi Toney, Josh Moore, Elijah Lofton. There's a lot of dudes on this offense. Can make a lot of noise, this team. There's a few personnel losses that they've had, which are a little concerning. Hayden Lowe and then Luka Gilbert. So depth is going to be tested here. You can't get anybody hurt for Miami, but I think that they've got the highest ceiling in the conference because you have a quarterback that doesn't have to carry everything in your offense. Got really good weapons. Probably the most exciting guy, one of the most exciting players in the country is Malachi Toney. And Cristobal has built Miami to win up front. Looking at Mario Cristobal, he himself could probably play up front. But that's ultimately what separates them for me in this conference. I think SMU probably has the safer quarterback situation, if I'm being completely honest, but Miami has the roster that looks most capable of surviving that 12 games schedule.
I don't even know if I would say that they have the safer. I know I said that Kevin Jennings is one of the safest options. I don't know if that is the safer option because Darian Mensah arrives from Duke after throwing 3,973 yards, 34 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions last season. He's also voted the ACC Preseason Player of the Year. So I don't know if I would necessarily say that that Kevin Jennings is the safer bet or safer option here. I think, honestly, I'd probably put my money on Darian Mensah because we saw what Carson Beck did with Mario Cristobal in that offense last season. And you mentioned Malachi Toney, he's coming back. Mark Fletcher, he's coming back. Tramar Brown, he's coming back. Gerard Pringle, he's coming back. So a lot of that same offense is coming back. And this is going to make some Carson Beck fans out there mad, I'm sure, but I would rather have Darian Mensah over Carson Beck. And I'll just say this right now. If Miami had Mensah last season instead of Carson Beck, I bet they win the national championship and not lose the national championship.
I think it's an interesting point to make. I don't know that we're talking about the safer option between Mensah and Jennings. The only thing that Jennings has over him really is that he's been in the offense before over there at SMU.
Sure.
And so, but not to take anything away from Mensah. His numbers last year at Duke were nuts, man. He was so good. Got them. I've got Miami right back where they were a year ago. I think that they're competing for a national championship. I think they make it out of the ACC unscathed. I think they go 12-0 and run it now. But I'm telling you, it's not going to be without the schedule is interesting. You've got it's another one of these teams that goes to South Bend at night, November 7th. They're going to play Notre Dame. You got to travel to North Carolina to face Bobby P and the boys. You go to Clemson. And so the road games are interesting in this one, but you got a lot of home games that are pretty favorable within this, including one later on in the year where Mensah gets to play his former team. But schedule's not the most difficult thing in the world, but you got to go game by game here. If you look at last year's schedule, they had a lot of road games, a lot of tough road games they had to go on. This team lost to SMU a year ago, and so can they replicate some of that juice they had in the postseason this past year and give a good run? So I've got them winning the ACC. I'm not quite ready to call them my national champion just yet, but I think the talent is certainly there.
Oh, for sure. They're my number one. I have them at 11 wins, just below you. I think they're the most complete team in the ACC. I trust Darian Mensah. The skill position talent is elite, and I think the secondary is good enough to absorb the defensive losses. The only thing standing between Miami and an ACC championship is themselves, Miami. If they beat themselves, they won't make it, but I fully expect them just to almost completely run the table. I think they do lose one game. It is a tough season. Maybe they lose that Notre Dame game in South Bend. They lose to Clemson, but who knows? But that is our top 5 breakdown of the ACC. Oh, wait, who is your dark horse real quick?
I've got a surprise here, which I guess is why it's called a dark horse, but you're in the make or break year, Florida State. I want to say, and Lord, his name is escaping me, their head coach. He's from Arkansas. I don't know why it's escaping me at the moment, but Florida State's got to go to Alabama. They're going to go to Louisville, play at Miami, and then finish up the year against Florida. And so, man, this is an interesting schedule. We got to look here. I think I have them as my dark horse, mostly because I think that the schedule is just super interesting. And if they're a team that can make it through this schedule, they're going to be tough to contend with. Now, I say that this is a Mike Norvell. This is the make or break year for Norvell. And if he can come through and get into that top 5, I think he saves his job and probably prolongs things a little bit for Florida State fans. But I think that pieces are there. I think he's a pretty good coach. I just think that he's been pretty unlucky with with some of the system that he's had over the past couple of years. So we shall see. We shall see how the former Memphis head coach does for them and how another former one does for the Razorbacks coming up pretty soon.
Absolutely. I have 2 dark horses. My first one is the Louisville Cardinals. They're a great team. Lincoln Kienholz, he definitely has talent. They have a solid roster. Why are they my dark horse? Is Louisville has the talent to win the ACC, but I don't trust the amount of roster turnover. Wow. If Kienholz hits and the Porter guys hit, I could look stupid for having them outside of my top 5 come November. This could be one of those silly conversations like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they were outside your top 5. And I'm like, I know, I own that. Will admit if I'm wrong. My other dark horse is NC State. NC State is my quarterback dark horse. I don't need them to have the best roster in the ACC. I need CJ Bailey to become one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. If he does, NC State can crash the entire top 5. So I think out of the 2, I would definitely lean Louisville over NC State. But those are my 2 dark horses, and wrap up our ACC breakdown. And let us know who you think yours is, because this is going to be interesting to see as we head into this college football season. And now it is time for something that I have no clue what's coming, guys. This could be really interesting or go off the rails really quick. So, Will, hit us a wild card.
It's time for Will's wild card. It's going to be a fun one today. I went with my own recency bias for sure, and it just so happens to be about my favorite NFL team. And I know that we're getting into Bolton boys here in a little bit, but I wanted to talk through this. Von Miller to the Cowboys. What does this look like for the 37-year-old? Is this smoke screen, or like does he have a little bit left in the tank? I've been looking up his stats just year by year. Von Miller played in a lot of games this past year, but I guess my question is who benefits more from this move? Is it the Cowboys or is it Von Miller? Truth be told, right now, I don't really know at this stage of the game. So your thoughts on that?
Well, it's like a mutual benefit, because if I'm not mistaken, Von Miller's from the state of Texas, and so
he is.
He gets to go back home. He gets to go back home. He gets to go back to his home state, and I'm sure growing up, Von Miller always wanted to play for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure he wanted that star on his helmet. I fully expect this to be his last season, and so that means he gets to retire from the home state of Texas, from the Dallas Cowboys. And so he definitely benefits. Now, I'm going to take it a step further, though, on the Cowboys, and more specifically, those young those edge rushers that they drafted, Malachi Lawrence and LT Overton and the guy that they took from Michigan in the second round. Those are the guys that are going to benefit the most, because now you have one of the most elite pass rushers in the game giving you knowledge. And it like Khalil Mack on the Chargers with Akeem Mesidor and Thule and those other young. You don't need him to be in every play, but when he is, he's going to be disruptive. And I fully expect Von Miller he's not going to be a every down player, but he's going to be in key moments. He's going to be in when he needs to rush the passer and when they need to get a defensive stop. And that's key, because now you get the best of both worlds. You get him passing on that veteran leadership to, I think, Malachi Lawrence, who is a very underrated pick. And then on crucial third downs, crucial fourth downs, when they're passing the ball, the opposing team is passing the ball. Now Von Miller comes in, and like if Aaron Donald comes back, everybody's in the back of their mind is going to want to double team him because of what he used to be. Even if it's 75% Aaron Donald, if it's 85% Von Miller, that is still going to be disruptive. It's still going to make teams try to double team him, and that's where Malachi Lawrence or Sean Gary can come in and maybe put the pressure on the quarterback. So I think it benefits both, and I like it for both. I like it for Von Miller, and unfortunately, I like it for the Cowboys.
We want to look at this past year for Washington. He had played in 17 games, which is the most for his career at 36 years old, playing 17 games, but limited production as far as tackles go, but still ended up with 9 sacks on the year, which is the most he's had in a season since 2018, whenever he had 14 and a half. Denver. The guy has built a crazy resume, 138 and a half sacks on his career, has been in the league since 2011, so has been around the block several times. This is really good news, I think, for Dallas, especially a team that needs to be able to stop the run. And we'll get into that here in just a second with our Bolton boys, just talking through some things here with this. But I think that this only adds to what you have added on the defensive side of the ball for the Cowboys. And so I'm personally looking forward to it. Made me really excited. I think I would have been more excited about it probably about 10 years ago. But I think that this is something that's going to be really pretty crazy to look at. The guy in 2012 had 18 and a half sacks. That's crazy work. And so if he can be disruptive, he's not going to be an every down guy, but I think that if he can be disruptive on that defensive line, it's going to be really fun to watch for the Cowboys, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that is Will's wild card. Thank you, Tim, for answering my question.
Of course.
Von Miller coming on to the Cowboys. Move to our next segment. And Bolton boys.
It is my Los Angeles Chargers, his Dallas Cowboys. Into one segment, Bolts and Boys. And the preseason week 1 is wrapped up. We're moving on to week 2 this Thursday. And I've got mixed emotions. I know it's preseason, but I'm ready for the regular season to see what this team's full potential can be. Because a lot of the starters didn't even play. Actually, I don't even think any of the starters played for Chargers on either side of the ball against the Houston Texans, though they did win. They won in dominating fashion, 27-7. So they put up the points, but I think my biggest player storyline is even with Trey Lance, you can already see this offense will be way different and better than it was the last 2 seasons. We are seeing a Mike McDaniel effect. That is right there is seeing the fact that Mike McDaniel's offense is going to be in full effect, to see what Justin Herbert can do. And Mike McDaniel's excited because he finally has a quarterback that can actually throw the ball. And we saw a lot of the Mike McDaniel effect with simple little motions with Brendan Thompson and Keandre Lambert-Smith and a few of the other wide receivers. But what happened was like they would line up in the slot and then they would just do like that little shuffle motion to the outside. And what that is, that's A, decoy, B, it's to see what they can see, what the quarterback sees, and at the very least, that's a little safety check down. But there was good, there was bad. I think the biggest concern for the Chargers right now is the fact that Trey Lance is the current QB2. Hopefully, the guy DJ from Florida State can become the QB2 because Trey Lance proved why he's on his third team in the National Football League, and it was brutal. He did show some poise, and he showed some promise, and I was really excited to see Mike McDaniel, his team actually do have some payoff even with Trey Lance, but Trey Lance, he throws boneheaded interceptions. And on the interception that I saw, he got laser locked on one guy and tried to he forced it into double coverage. And there was probably two other ones that should have been picked off, but did not. So that is my biggest concern for the Chargers after week 1 of the preseason. Are you ready for my bold prediction, though?
Come on. Let's hear it.
Because Genesis Smith will become a starter this season, and he and Derwin James will become a duo similar to Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. That is going to be a great secondary for the Los Angeles Chargers. I was watching this, and he should have had this interception. It was in the end zone. He one-handed catch. He brought one foot. He just couldn't quite drag the second foot down. And then he made some other plays too. He had another breakup, and he did his job. And I know that Tony Jefferson is back, and they got Derwin James. So I see Derwin James being the Cam Chancellor, the big boom, the hit stick guy, and Genesis Smith more being the Earl Thomas, who is more coverage and can break up the play. So that is my bold prediction for the Chargers after week 1. And other than that, like I said, the starters didn't really play, and it was more just to find and see how the backups or who will emerge for those position battles that we talked about before week 1 of the preseason. Will, your Cowboys looked pretty good against the defending Super Bowl champ. And I know it's preseason, but that defense definitely looked improved. So
they did. My biggest storyline from this game comes from the offensive side of the ball. I know we're all shocked, but it's hard to ignore the production that we saw out of Camden Brown. He's our rookie wide receiver out of Georgia Southern. 3 catches for 62 yards and 2 scores. And they weren't just boring touchdowns that you see in normal everyday preseason football. Had a 39-yard touchdown from Sam Howell on a deep ball. Then later made a ridiculous one-handed catch on a fade route that Joe Milton threw to him. So caught touchdown passes from both quarterbacks who are competing for that second quarterback spot. But this really matters because Dallas already has a lot of good offensive firepower here. You've got Dak, you've got CD, you've got Pickens, who are really established pieces in this offense. So you're not going to be asking Camden Brown to become your wide receiver 1. But I think he said what coming of this is you're not asking, is he going to be in the lineup? You're asking, can this guy force the Cowboys to find a roster spot for him? And after this one game, I think that he's making a case for sure. Been all over camp too. He's been making a lot of noise at camp. I think Camden Brown goes from a guy that Cowboys fans were hearing about at training camp to a guy that we're now going to be watching pretty much every snap that's left in the preseason for sure. And so another storyline that's underneath it is, who is that quarterback 2 going to be? Sam Howell, Joe Milton, both really good moments here, and neither separated themselves from each other in the competition. So it's going to be an interesting thing to look at. But hopefully we won't have to know about him because maybe Dak will stay healthy all year. I think probably the biggest concern I have out of the game is that we're not going to make quarterback the concern because we're talking about Dak's backups here. But the thing that I watch closer is that defensive front, and we got some answers to that question with Von Miller being signed. But Seattle ended up finishing with over 100 yards rushing, and there's a few moments in there where Dallas had trouble maintaining some stuff on the edge. They ultimately tightened things up. They didn't allow a point after that first possession, but had several sacks there on Milrow. Run fits, edge discipline, something that I would circle going into game 2 of the preseason. But you're trying to establish a new defensive identity with Christian Parker. So there were some encouraging signs. There were good moments in the secondary and had some young guys look good in the pass rush. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Dallas's defense is bad. But I'd probably say that I want to see if the Cowboys can consistently stop the run when the game actually matters. Is this indicative of what's happening in your starters? Is basically what's happening here. And then I'll go back to a point I made earlier for my bold prediction. I think that Camden Brown makes the 53-man roster. I know it's one game that we're seeing here, but I'm really buying it. It's not because he caught 2 touchdowns in a preseason game, but it's because he's stacking performance with what we've seen in camp. He's not just a practice guy going out there and doing it in games. And if he continues to make some catches in traffic, it's going to be really difficult to leave him on a practice squad. And so I think he makes the 53. I think he probably gets his shot in special teams more than anything. I think he maybe catches a touchdown in the regular season this year. But I think that's bold enough without going completely insane for preseason football. But give them an overall grade of a B+. I think things could be better, but I think that they looked good enough. Dak doesn't play, and plenty of starters weren't out there, so I'm not going to get really carried away with a 17-7 win. But you had good flashes of really good things from some young talent, which has me really excited and gets me more excited to watch the actual starters get out there and play at some point in the very near future.
Yes, sir. Real quick, so before the show today, Tyler Biadish was carted off of the practice field for the Chargers, and he's the center who they acquired in free agency, who came over from the Washington Commanders. He was going to be that anchor, and now here we are already, and the Chargers offensive line is getting banged up, and that's not good, especially because if you remember, the interior is what I considered one of the weaknesses of the Chargers already going into preseason. And so we don't know the extent of it as of right now. They do have the San Francisco 49ers at SoFi Stadium on Thursday night on the NFL Network channel. That'll be 9 p.m. Central, p.m. Pacific time. So Charger fans, make sure you're watching and see what happens. On Friday's edition of Bolts and Boys, we will recap the Chargers preseason game and preview the Dallas Cowboys because they play the Arizona Cardinals on Saturday night. So that should be fun. So on the next edition of Bolts and Boys, do a recap of the Chargers preseason, and we will preview. And I think both of us, because we can both talk about each team now because we both have a little bit of intel and we are able to break it up a little bit. So preview the Dallas Cowboys, recap the Chargers. That is going to wrap up our Bolts and Boys. And what a great segment. It's going to be a fun segment throughout the year. Will, I'm going to apologize now for all the crap I give the Cowboys until they prove me wrong.
That's fine. That's fine. Get it. Totally get it.
All right, Call Nation. Before we get to the hot seat, before we get to Call's hot seat, quick reminder. If you want more Answer the Call beyond the main show, our Patreon is officially live. We've got different tiers depending on how involved you want to be with the show. Go check it out. The link is in the description. And at the starting lineup tier, you can actually watch the live show and you can submit questions for Call's hot seat or the call log when we have that going on. So go check out the Patreon, guys. You won't be disappointed. And Will, I think what time it is.
I think it is. I think it's time for everyone's favorite segment. That's right. It's time for Call's Hot Seat. And again, Patreon members, you can submit hot seat questions, and we would be more than happy to ask those questions to each other because, quite frankly, I'm needing some more material, and you'll notice that from the questions that I've compiled.
I think Patreon members, like if you're in the starting lineup or in the press box tier, I think that you not only can you submit questions, but I think you get to pick like who has to answer that, because that would be fun. Like they come up with a question and Will has to answer it or I have to answer it. So go check out the Patreon, guys. It is time for Call's Hot Seat, and this should be fun. This should be exciting, and I'm a little nervous. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to?
Ask the questions first.
Okay.
How about that?
That's fair.
I'll ask questions.
That gives me a little time to prepare.
Awesome. So here's my first question. You get $1 million, but your favorite team cannot win a championship for the next 20 years. Are you taking that money?
Listen, I love my teams and all, but $1 million is $1 million, and
Give me that
I'm
money.
sorry, but
Give me that money.
I gotta go with the money. Like there's no way that anybody wouldn't take the $1 million. Like, I'm sorry, I've dealt with my team not ever winning a Super Bowl. I'm sorry, so I can live with however else longer I needed to go for that $1 million. So
yeah, I promise you, I can put some good things to use with $1 million. Okay, let's see. One of these has to disappear forever from existence. Burgers, pizza, tacos, or wings. One's got to disappear.
Well, I'm going to tell you what's not going to disappear, and that is burgers. You can ask anybody. I'm always craving a good burger. I just want a good burger, bro. This is probably going to cause some controversy, but if I had to eliminate one, I'm going wings because I like burgers.
Really?
I think I would just eliminate wings. And we're talking like bone-in wings, right? Like the traditional payout for a wing is crazy. Like I'm doing a lot of work to get that meat off that bone for a little payout. Like getting crab legs. Do a lot of work and the payout is so little. So give me burger, give me tacos and pizza.
Follow-up question. Are boneless wings?
No, they're like chicken nuggets.
They're chicken nuggets.
They're chicken.
As long as we know. Okay.
Wait, that wasn't one of the ones, right?
No, that was just a follow-up question.
Okay.
You have to sing one song at karaoke, and if the crowd doesn't give you a standing ovation, you lose $500. What song are you singing?
Wow. Probably doesn't matter what song I sing because I've been told I can't carry a tune. So
that doesn't matter. At karaoke, it is not about how well you sing. It is about how well you perform under pressure.
I probably put my money on We Will Rock You.
Come on, man. Come on. I love it. Okay. Your biggest rival wins a championship, but you personally get to score the game-winning touchdown. Are you doing it?
So I'm playing for my biggest rival.
You're playing for the biggest rival, and you have the opportunity, like, let's say it's at the 1-yard line. The other team's letting you score at this point. Do you still do it?
Is it against my team or is it just a rant?
It's against your team.
Well, sorry, but obviously if I'm playing for a rival team, like they're the ones paying me, so I'm gonna go ahead and score. You should have drafted me.
Sell out.
I'm not a sellout. You would do the same thing. You can't sit there and tell me that you like if the Philadelphia Eagles were paying you, and what if you score that touchdown and you get an incentive bonus, huh? What if you get a bonus for scoring that touchdown? You're doing it.
I can call you a sellout and also be a sellout. I think that's allowed.
Come on now.
Both things can exist. All right, then my last one. These are all silly ones, but I think it's fun. You have to let one NFL head coach be your roommate for an entire year. Who's it going to be?
Wait, say that again?
You have to let one NFL head coach be your roommate for an entire year. Which one are you letting be your roommate?
Wow. I wish you would have just said coach but it doesn't change. I'm going to say Jim Harbaugh, just because listening to him in his his post-game interviews and his press conferences, it's magic. So just sitting there and he's like my roommate, or
talk the whole night.
Another one would probably be Dan Campbell.
Then it's a party all day long.
Jim Harbaugh talk like without like a camera and a mic on. It has to be magic. Like he's just sitting there, and then all of a sudden he spits out something like completely random, and you're like, "What? Why'd you even say that?" And then it clicks and it becomes funny. So.
Yeah, that's my 5.
Woo, wasn't
that interesting? Hey, Patreon, we need y'all to come up with some questions because we're running out of material. I don't know if you can tell, but
we're not running out of material. It's just
dog days right now.
Oh, okay. So this is going to be a basketball scenario.
Bring it on.
As soon as I find it here. Okay, which of these teams has the best chance to go 82-0? Is it Team A with Chris Paul, Ray Allen, Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, or is it B, John Stockton, Reggie Miller, Paul George, Karl Malone, David Robinson, or is it C, Isaiah Thomas, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, paired up with Patrick Ewing, or Damian Lillard, Vince Carter, Carmelo Anthony, Dennis Rodman, and Joker?
Oh, that last team almost had me. You almost pulled me in until you said Rodman. I mean, I know Rodman has all the rebounds, but he doesn't really give you much else. Remind me who's on team 2. David Robinson. Is he on that one?
David Robinson, Karl Malone, Paul George, Reggie Miller, and John Stockton.
I like that. Having the pick and roll action from Karl Malone and John Stockton, it was a thing of beauty on the Jazz back in the day. And if you add some more pieces to him, I think it's only a better thing. So let's take that one and go 82-0, just based on the pick and roll offense alone.
Okay. This is your team specific.
Okay, perfect.
Who is your favorite player to wear 88? Is it Michael Irvin, Drew Pearson, Des Bryant, or CeeDee Lamb?
Ooh, my favorite or the best?
Both.
Okay. I watched Des Bryant the most of that bunch. And because I think that connection that he and Romo had was really a thing of beauty. And yes, Des caught it. And I'm not going to get over that one. But Des caught the ball in that one. And I think that he was your quintessential guy who had a little bit of attitude problems. It's your stereotypical receiver. But, man, that connection was a match made in heaven. So I would say, just for me, Des Bryant.
Okay. I want you to build a defense around one linebacker. Are you choosing Ray Lewis, Dick Butkus, Junior Seau, or Patrick Willis?
It's hard for me to not pick Ray Lewis in this scenario. He was one of those guys that personality was really bigger than the game itself, and he made everybody play better around him. So I'm gonna go with Ray on this one. I'm gonna go with Ray Lewis. I don't know if you've seen any of his clips here recently. He's been preaching. Like I've seen videos of him preaching at church, man. He's on fire for the Lord right now, and I am all about it, man. He's getting after it.
Sorry, I'm trying to go through.
All good.
Trying to go through. If you could take one player from the Chargers and put it on the current Cowboys team, who are you taking?
Oh, I think we talked about this last week, I think.
Oh, did we?
But I would put, because I said my answer was Lad McConkey.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Putting Lad with George Pickens and CD. Woo!
Okay.
Come on,
This is going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay, perfect.
What's the worst sports take I have ever given you?
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. There was one you got flamed for on TikTok. What was it? Oh, gosh.
I have never really got super flamed on TikTok. I had a guest that got flamed.
Yes.
But
yes. Oh, gosh. What was it? Hold on. Let me find it. I don't want to sit here all day, but I've got to find it.
Was it my SEC one?
What'd you say in the SEC one?
That the SEC was going to win the national championship this year? Like over the Big
That's
Ten?
That's what it was. I don't necessarily disagree with it wholeheartedly, but I do think that the Big Ten's just been on a run here, and you did get flamed for that one, either on Instagram or TikTok. I can't remember. But I think that the Big Ten probably pulls another one out. I think it's probably Michigan.
Okay. If the Dallas Cowboys wins the Super Bowl this year, what embarrassing thing are you willing to do on the show?
That's a good question. In fact, I think it's one that we leave up to the patrons on Patreon.
Oh, I like that. If the Dallas Cowboys win, Patreon members, you get to decide Will's fate and what he has to do being the Cowboys.
In this super far-fetched scenario. May or may not happen.
That is going to wrap up Call's Hot Seat. Call Nation, who had the better ACC top 5? Was it myself, Tim, or was it Will? And if you're a Patreon member, drop your questions for the next Hot Seat. And we are going to, I think once a month or so, we will do a call log. So you can submit questions, and it doesn't have to be hot seat questions. They can just be questions. Favorite team thing. You guys can do favorite teams, but is going to start to wrap up our show. Will, some final thoughts before we head out of here?
We are wrapping up the Power 4 conferences on Friday, so please come on and join us for that. We would love to hear what you got to say. If you want to drop some things in the comments. Again, if you haven't joined our Patreon, look at the link, and there's a couple different tiers in there. We would love for you to be a part of the show with us, partner with us in this show, so that we can continue to make some upgrades and to really just put our best foot forward for the show. We love what we get to do here and would love for you to come along for the ride with us. This has been such a privilege to be able to do this week in and week out, and can't wait to see what we have coming forward. We preview the SEC on Friday, and it just means we're one step closer, baby. Let's go. One step closer to football.
One step.
Being back with us. One step closer to the edge.
Well, next Saturday, Next Saturday, we have week 0 in college football. Let's go. To pinpoint what Will said, Patreon does get exclusive content. They get the live stream. They get the live show. So if you want to see us live and interact in real time, join the Patreon. We have 3 amazing tiers. We have Call Nation Practice Squad for $5 a month. You can simply support the show. You still get the show, but it won't be live and it won't be top priority. You also will have access to clips and other things. So, and then our good tier, our like the best value tier, is going to be our Call Nation starting lineup. You get everything you get in the Call Nation Practice Squad and more. You get the live show. You get to have a voice in the show. And then we have our third tier, which is the press box. And in that, you get like behind the scenes. We like maybe once a month we'll do a drawing, and that's an exclusive tier. You would be one of like 10 people to join that one. So very exclusive tier that we offer. It's behind the scenes, and you can come on the show and voice your opinion. We do ask that you keep it respectful. We are offering awesome things on our Patreon as well, though. Go ahead and make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You will still see things. It just Patreon will see it first, and there will be exclusive things, maybe like a bonus segment that only Patreon members get to see. So we are thankful for all the support, whether it be liking, watching, sharing, becoming a Patreon member. Thank you all for your support. However you may have watched, however you may have listened, thank you for making us part of your day. We will see you on Friday with SEC Top 5 breakdown. And next week, we will start our season predictions for college football and who we think will be the 12 teams in the college football playoffs. For Will Ritchie, I'm Tim Collins. Remember, there's only one place to talk ball, and that is Answer the Call. Good night, guys.